Hi, I'm Raj with Sickbay. Sickbay is software that lives inside the hospital and collects and delivers physiologic data at scale. My department goes into the field and talks to our clinical, quality, and research users to understand better how they're making use of this unique data set. Today, Mishan and I are really excited to be joined by Dr. Wren. Dr. Wren is a neonatal intensivist particularly interested in understanding neonatal physiology. He recently published a paper looking at the benefits of new types of testing on neonates with a particular type of hernia. We're going to discuss a little bit about his work and learn a little bit more about how Sickbay data might be accelerating that work. Thanks for joining us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me, Raj.
Good morning, Dr. Wren.
Good morning. I'm happy to be
in Iowa.
Yeah, we're doing well. It's the weather just turned here, so we are now entering our cold phase, which lasts for about 9 months. So I'm ready to enjoy it.
Oh, fantastic. Hey, well, so tell us a little bit about the study and the problem that you set out to solve.
Yeah, of course. No, I'm fortunate to work in the neonatal ICU here. So we mostly take care of babies that are born incredibly early is our main patient population, but we also take care of babies that are born with congenital anomalies. So something called congenital diaphragmatic hernia, or CDH, because it's hard to say that word over and over again, is babies that are born with a hole in their diaphragm, which is the muscle that separates the stomach from the chest. It seems like that should just be, plug a hole, fix the problem. But what we know is that that hole exists from as soon as the baby is developing in mom. And so it means that for all of their gestation, their heart and their lungs are much smaller and squished by the stuff that shouldn't be in the chest. And so these babies, when they're born, they tend to be the sickest babies in their unit. And despite all of our advances in therapies and medicines, their survival to discharge is still only about 70%. So only about 7 in 10 are able to go home. And this condition, it's most of us haven't heard of it, but it's actually as common as cystic fibrosis. So it's kind of this undiagnosed, somewhat silent disease that we don't often focus on, even though these babies are incredibly sick. And so this population is who I'm interested in, who I'm predominantly focused clinically taking care of, are these very critically ill sick babies in the immediate period. And the reason why I care about it so much is because if we can support them through this critical illness in the neonatal period, these children, their brain is normal, their other organs are normal. They go on to play soccer, go to school, go to college. If we can get them through this neonatal period, they can go on to have normal lives. And so that's the reason why I've been so attracted to this field, why I was so interested in trying to see what we could do to try to improve their outcomes. And so the impetus of this study was we know that early echocardiography, so using an ultrasound to look at the function of the heart, we can use that to help guide directed therapies for these babies. And honestly, it's needed. If we don't have it, we don't know what medicines to use. We might use medicines that are actually harmful. And so until we can get that echo, we're managing these incredibly ill babies blindly. The challenge is that echoes are traditionally done by our pediatric cardiology colleagues who are they're busy, honestly, and they don't have the time they're not often in the house in the middle of the night when these babies are born. And so when we're relying on our cardiology colleagues to perform the echo, just because of the staffing and the timing ratios, the echo is often not done until 24, sometimes 48 hours of life, after which a lot has happened. Minutes and hours are critical in these babies. And so
time is of the essence, right? You have to get, okay. Correct. I understand, right?
So our program here, we've developed a kind of a special training program where we teach neonatologists like myself take an extra year of training to learn how to do basic skills of echocardiography or heart ultrasound. Now, again, it's not training to be a cardiologist, but it's training to, in a structurally normal heart, learn to see how is the heart functioning, how is it squeezing, and what medicines can we use in the critical period to stabilize babies. And so I went through this process. I did this training to get this skill. And so what my study was basically on was assessing the difference of what happens if we have a neonatologist do this rapid ultrasounds right when the baby needs it, even if it's at hour 2 of life, compared to the traditional approach, which is our cardiology colleagues do it when they're available, which is, like I said, often much later. The average age, at least here at Iowa, for a cardiology echo in CDH is about in the 23 to 27 hours, somewhere in that range. And so in the study, so people like myself, neonatologists who do echoes, would perform the study. We did it at about an average age of around 3 to 4 hours. And the main reason for the study was just to show that by doing this, essentially, we weren't causing harm. Our main focus here was that first do no harm, right? That by kind of changing the method of doing the study, we're not causing these babies any adverse outcomes. We're not causing them any adverse stress. And so what we found is that by doing this neonatologist approach with an earlier echo, when these babies are still very acutely unwell, we didn't see any differences in their vital signs, blood pressure, their heart rate, how much oxygen they needed, how much ventilator they needed, how many medicines they were on. And we also didn't see any differences in them needing significantly more support, like something called ECMO. And so, and the main reason for that was just to try to kind of put it out there that these babies, they need echoes early. Many centers are afraid to do them because by doing an echo, you're doing an ultrasound that takes 20 minutes on a baby. It has a risk of kind of destabilizing that baby. What we wanted to prove to people was that this can be done safely and quickly. The echo that we did only took about 15 minutes, whereas a traditional echo can take upwards of 30 to 40. And so the main purpose of this study was demonstrating, again, that you can do an early echo and get critical information rapidly, even when this baby is incredibly young. That was the main message. Now, to show that, to prove that in the study, we utilized Sickbay, which was very helpful because it was able to provide us with the kind of the trends of the real-time vital sign monitoring. And so that truly, I knew when the echo started, I knew when the echo ended. I can look at the heart rate, I can look at the blood pressure, I can look at the pulse ox. And I can show that, from when the echo started to when the echo ended, did the heart rate spike? Did the oxygen levels go down? Did the blood pressure go up or down? That might suggest instability. I can see the blood gases. Did the baby have hypercarbia that needed to be addressed during and after the study? And so I could essentially show in real time was that, I have a tracing of the vital signs and say echo here, echo start here, echo end here. There's a period of time before the echo, a period of time after the echo, and essentially it was a straight line, as in we didn't see vital sign changes during or after the echo, which again, in medicine, we want to see data to prove that something works. To me, that's really good evidence that we weren't causing clinical instability by doing the echo early. And so that was kind of how we used Sickbay in this study.
This is fascinating to me because doing this study is, right, you've made some changes in your care practice, right? Now you can prove, and the program works, that when we get early echoes on these babies, those babies have a totally different trajectory going forward. And that is so fascinating to me, that you can prove this out and use a solution that really shows you the evidence in order to change that care practice. Anything else has changed? Any other values that you've seen now that the study is out and you all are now putting this into practice?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've gotten a lot of good feedback. I mean, it's definitely people are feeling more confident of performing the echoes. I mean, but we've also, one of the challenges of the message is that we're fortunate here. We have people that are incredibly highly trained at doing echoes in babies. And unfortunately, that's not it takes time to develop that skill. And so while the study, I think it is powerful in showing that it can be done, one of the key messages is that it has to be done by an experienced practitioner. And that they have to go well to get the results we have. They have to be well trained. I will say the other piece of data that this study has been useful for is it's really helped kind of our real-time clinical management too. Obviously, mostly I was using Sickbay during the study to look retrospectively back at the data to see what happened when the studies are done. We can use it in real time. So most of our faculty offices are not in the NICU. And so our Sickbay communicates directly into our computers in our offices. And so we utilize that system where when I know a baby is undergoing an echo or a procedure, I'll pull them up, and I can't be at the bedside for whatever reason if I'm not the primary doctor on. I have the ability to pull that monitor up on my kind of second screen here in my office and be looking at their trends and things over time. So that's a piece that I've heard also from other faculty in our department that we weren't using that as much. The kind of the real-time monitoring of actually like looking at it when we can't physically be at the patient's bedside, kind of having an additional vital sign monitor in our faculty office. That's been a nice tool that I know I've heard from other members that they've appreciated.
Oh, that's fantastic to hear. I'm going to repeat something you said to me earlier, which was babies are resilient. We have to get out of their way and help them, right?
Yes.
We're just there to nudge them along. So, when you're saying this to us, I think Raj and I kind of feel the same way about Sickbay, right? The tool is really there to facilitate you all doing your best and leveraging with the staff that you have in place where you are, right? So we just want to be there kind of in the background to help you do your best and to give these babies a different trajectory in life. It's pretty amazing to hear. Raj?
Yeah, I'm really and consistently impressed by your creativity, right? Because it's what can you use that you already have? You have a machine, right? It's something that you could apply early to these kids and get more information. And so if you can show that new use for a tool, and then if you can help build trust by showing it's safe, where Sickbay can help with that, that continuous recording data, and you can publish on it, and eventually people will adopt it and they'll improve care in this way, right? But it's using things that you already have at hand, which is right. That's very. I really like that. So thank you for coming on today and telling your story.
Yeah, no, of course. You've gotten to the key point. Now we've proven it can be done safely. Now our goal is that we have to prove that we can actually improve outcomes, right? That's our goal. Our hypothesis is that we've shown that we can do it. Now we have to show that when we do it, things get better. Like we were talking earlier, this is 7 and 10 go home. That still means that 3 and 10 don't. So our focus is on those 3 and 10. And I think you guys can tell from chatting with me. For me, any tool that can help those 3 and 10, that's what matters to us.
And we're here with you, right? To keep going, right? To keep the tools going, to keep your research up, to make it easier to continue that path into ultimately improving outcomes. I really thank you for coming on and telling your story. If you are interested out there in learning more about Sickbay, or if you would like to come on and chat a bit about your use of Sickbay, please drop Mashawn or I a line. We'd love to hear from you. Until then, take care, and we'll see you next time.